G'day, my name is Warwick Marsh, and today on this Truth and Transformation program we're talking to Dr. Vishal Mangalwadi, all the way from India. He's written 14 books. He's travelling here in Australia, sharing the story of truth and transformation. Dr. Vishal Mangalwadi, great to have you here.
Well, thank you for having me and for organising this tour.
It's a great pleasure indeed. Now, Doctor, just tell us a bit about your early few years. Where were you born in India? Maybe tell us a bit about your background.
I was born in central India in a district called Chhatarpur. I grew up in Allahabad, which is a large town where the largest human event happens every 12 years, where more than 100 million people come to bathe in the confluence of the river Ganges and Yamuna. So that's where I had my high school and undergraduate studies. And then my wife and I began serving the poor in 1976. We went back to Chhatarpur from where my ancestors had come, which was a very backward area. So my education was in Allahabad and Indore, and my work was in central India, where I began writing and serving.
Now, you're an adjunct professor of a university in the States. You've lectured in, I understand, Cambridge, other places, universities all over the world. You've written 14 books, but you've been in jail. Tell us a story. I'm just in jail because this little badge here I got from a Pentridge jail chaplain, and I've played music in jails all over Australia, but I've never actually been inside a jail cell from the point of view of being falsely accused, but you have. Can you tell us the story?
Yes, I had about 20 court cases, 10 of them maybe criminal cases, and I was arrested several times.
But you're a good man. Why would they be charging you with criminal cases?
Well, Jesus was a good man, and that's what gets you into trouble, because there are many parts of the world where goodness, if it's proactive, is a problem. Poverty is not simply an economic issue, it's a social issue. Some people have vested interest in keeping people poor. So if you're seeking to transform their lot economically, socially, educationally, then you are challenging the status quo. So if a culture believes that poor people should the lower caste people should not be educated, their children should not be educated, otherwise their children might become better than our children, or grandchildren might become better than our children. So once you start a school there, you are challenging centuries of belief that these people, poor people, are poor because of their karma in previous lives.
So what actually happened?
Well, in my first time I was arrested was there had been a hailstorm, and 3-4 days had gone by. No politician, no government bureaucrat had uttered the word relief. Wheat crop had been destroyed in about 100 villages. Most of these villages have handmade country tiles on their roof. Those country tiles were shattered by hailstorm. And once we, a bunch of young people, announced that we will give relief, the media became very interested, and it put it as front page news. So it became a sensation that here are this bunch of Christian young people living under $10 a month themselves, but offering relief to 100 villages.
So you're actually living amongst the poor?
Yes, we were living with the poor in mud huts and serving the poor, and it was very dramatic circumstances. I prayed that the Lord will enable us to do something for the poor, and a gentleman just came by and said that he had been reading one of my books, which is a textbook in many universities, and he was passing through the district and decided to visit me, and he said that he had seen the hailstorm, he will help us get the money to do the relief work. So the basic issue was that the authorities feared that if we did that, then we would become a political force, because I was already becoming a political force with being the only NGO.
So you not only sort of helped the poor, but you actually made a stand for them. You helped them with their cases and stood up
for them.
Well,
not at that point, not intentionally, but our opponents perceived the potential that this would also attract a lot of people to Christ, because there are established religious establishments of other religions who have a lot of money, but nobody is serving the poor, and we have nothing, but we are serving the poor because we have faith.
So what actually happened?
The district magistrate sent me a letter after the office hours saying that your relief work is illegal because there is a law in our state which says that in the event of natural calamity, private parties cannot collect donations. And the newspapers had been saying to the richer people that you donate money to this program which these people have begun. So I wrote back to the district magistrate that thank you for telling me about the law. I will obey the law. We will not collect any money. We will only give. So I got a second letter saying that, well, how can you give if you don't collect? So your work is illegal. Stop it. So I wrote back saying that we are told to obey the magistrate. So we will obey your order and stop our relief work. We will just organize a public prayer meeting, a non-sectarian prayer meeting, so that the poor who need help can come together and pray. So I got a third letter from him saying that your prayer meeting will create law and order problem in the district. It will disturb the tranquility of the state. So your prayer meeting is banned. So at that point we had to choose whether we obey or does the Bible allow us to disobey. Is civil disobedience part of biblical teaching? And we had to search the scriptures. Well, we decided that we have to do what we have to do, because to stop the prayer meeting means telling the sheep that we aren't really good shepherds. Our priority is to look after our own self-interest.
And really you'd be telling them that you're betraying the people you serve.
Right. So the superintendent of police, the highest police officer, he called me to his home, sat me on an easy chair on his lawn, gave me tea and snacks, and told me how much he appreciates what I'm doing and what a jewel I am for the district, because he said he has read the reviews of my first book, which is a study of Hindu gurus. But he said that, look, I'm telling you to stop this prayer meeting. If you don't, I will personally kill you.
That was a very nice, sort of nice man, a nice policeman. We don't have those sort of policemen here in our country. I don't think as much, maybe.
Well, I was shocked because I believed in Indian democracy. I'd studied politics. I'd read Indian Constitution. I knew the Constitution gave me fundamental right to life. And he had taken an oath of office that he will uphold the Constitution of India, protect my right to life. And here he is telling me that he will personally kill me. He realized that I was not taking his words at face value. So he spent an hour telling me anecdote after anecdote how many public figures he had killed.
Really?
Really trying to
Did you have a
impress me.
tape recorder running at that present moment?
No, we didn't have a tape
What a
recorder. And I wasn't expecting what this was all about. Anyway, I told him that, look, let me go home, talk to my wife if it's okay with her to be a widow, and then I'll answer your question whether we should cancel the prayer meeting or not. So we went back, and our community felt that we should not underestimate the power of darkness. But we have to do what we have to do, and they can do what they have to do. So we decided to continue with the prayer meeting. Well, fortunately, because the local press was supporting me, they didn't actually kill me, but threw me in jail. So that was the first time.
And I think you've been in jail a number of times, haven't you?
Yes, there was. I led a campaign. They had beaten up a medical doctor because he was the first untouchable lower caste Hindu who had become a medical doctor and thereby acquired the right to ask upper caste women to undress in front of him from examination. This was totally unacceptable, had never happened. So the member of parliament told her party and told at his face, he was standing there, you beat him up, teach him a lesson, to throw him out of the district, and I will look after you. So they beat him, threw him in jail on charges of attempted rape of a nurse. So no politician will do anything about it because everybody needs the powerful lobbies, and he represented the powerless. So his people came to me and said that you are the only crazy one who doesn't care for political power, who can do something for him. So I decided to organize a protest.
And you got put in jail again.
And then I got put in jail for a week.
Well, so I think you've got so many jail stories. Yes. And look, this man is literally a jailbird, but he loves Jesus, and that's really good news. But listen, it's important to laugh at these situations because we'd cry otherwise, wouldn't we? I'd love you to tell us about the story of the American Eagle and how the values, your book here, the book that made your world, here is a book that tells a story that Western civilization, all we know, is built on the Bible. Science has its roots in the scriptures. and understanding the scriptures, you know, medicine, law and order, parliament, democracy, and the list goes on, technology. Many of these advancements we take for granted. Now, you told the story encapsulated in a very simple way. Can you just tell us that story about the American Eagle?
Yes, you know, this book, Truth and Transformation, I began writing when I was in jail for the first time. Because the question my experiences had thrown was, how did the West succeed in building relatively just society? You said that you don't know if any police officers in Australia. So why is Australia different than India? That how could our politicians and police officers threaten to kill me without a trial, without an arrest, if I'm conducting a prayer meeting? So that began this quest.
And your constitution actually,
yes,
theoretically, which again has a Christian basis from William Carey, allowed you to, and yet they were still breaking the law.
Correct. So when I began my investigation on what made the West different from the rest of the world, I came to the conclusion that the secret was the Bible. The Bible created the modern Western civilization and modern India. So Indian constitution, Indian law, etc. came from the Bible. But what is happening to the West now, that image of an American eagle with both its wings clipped, comes from Michael Novak, who is a Roman Catholic scholar who has written a number of very good books. One of his books is called On Two Wings: Humble Faith and Common Sense at America's Founding. He goes into the primary documents of the founding of America, and he shows that America was founded, or American eagle flew on two wings. One was Protestant faith in the Bible, the other was common sense of Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Paine. The Common Sense Party took over the universities which the party of faith, the Protestantism, had built. Every denomination was building universities and colleges, but the Enlightenment forces, Common Sense Party, took over Christian universities and condemned Christian faith in the Bible. The Bible is myth. So Common Sense Party clipped the first wing of American eagle.
Correct.
That Bible is myth. What they didn't realize it, that once the Bible was removed, common sense collapsed. Because common sense is a myth. There is no such thing as common sense. A couple believes that marriage should be between one man and one woman. This is common sense. They're not Christians. They're secularists. They believe this is common sense. Their college-going kids believe that their parents are bigots, secular bigots, because marriage should be between two lovers. What has gender got to do with it? So common sense of the kids is opposite to the common sense of the parents, because common sense is created by culture. In this case of America or Australia or England, common sense was actually a shadow of the Bible. So once the reality, the Bible disappeared, the shadow has disappeared. Now Australia doesn't know what marriage is, what love is, what sex is, what family is. So your courts, your parliaments, common sense has collapsed because common sense was a product of the Bible. The only reason Australia defined marriage as one man, one woman, lifelong relationship was because of Jesus.
That's wonderful. Tell me, as we finish up, what's happening to America? The American eagle's in free fall.
American eagle is now in free fall because it neither has faith in the Bible nor does it have common sense. Wall Street doesn't know whether greed is good, whether you shall not covet or you shall covet is good. So capitalism has completely changed. Christian capitalism has been secularized. Democracy has become a problem. If you closely read Time magazine week after week, every second, third week, Time magazine is arguing that democracy is America's problem. China is overtaking because it isn't burdened. Chinese economy is not burdened by democracy.
So unfortunately, your thesis is right. The scriptures actually have made our modern world. When we abandon the Bible, we actually abandon common sense as well. And unfortunately, if we're not very careful, Australia will soon be in free fall, along with many other Western civilizations. And what will become of us now? So listen, I just want to say thank you. And I want to recommend these fantastic books. This is Truth and Transformation. It tells the story of Vishal being put in jail wrongly, and he stood up for the poor. He's made a stand for righteousness. And of course, this book here, The Book That Made Your World, it's only just come out in the last several months. and it really is a great book. And again, Dr. Vishal, thank you so much for talking to us.
Well,
it's been
thank you for
absolute
having me.
Pleasure.
And thank you for organizing this tour.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.